Hi, Alan.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Okay, today's daf is going to be daf samach daled be'ezus Hashem, but we're going to begin in the middle of the page of daf samach gimel amid beis by Amar Rav. Now the Gemara is easier concepts today. The Gemara says like this: Amar Rav. It's the middle of the page. Samach gimel amid beis. The words on the line begin Amar Rav. Rav said, "You know how your lawyer should talk to my lawyer." So Rav said it doesn't work by get isha. Ein ha'isha oisa shliach lekabel gita. A woman cannot make a shliach to accept the get if the husband made a shliach. Miyad shliach bala. If the husband made a shliach on his behalf to send a get to his wife, so then a woman cannot hire another shliach to receive the get. So the shlichim give it to each other. That's the opinion of Rav. Even though the Torah says that they each can make a shliach, but Rav said if they both made a shliach, it doesn't work. Rav Chanina says, Isha oisa shliach lekabel gita miyad shliach bala. A woman can make a shliach to accept a get from the shliach of the husband. So the Gemara asks the question, my time of the Rav. What's the reason of Rav? Why can't the woman make a shliach if the husband made a shliach to send the get? Why can't she make a shliach to accept it? Answers the Gemara, fascinating reason, because this is a humiliation for the husband. For some reason, the husband is going to look at it as he's being humiliated, that his wife is not accepting the get, but rather sending her shliach to receive the get. And perhaps he's going to like have regrets of giving it, or he's not going to give it with his full heart. So therefore, if the husband is giving directly a get to her shliach, so we see he's not concerned about his humiliation, and he can give it to his shliach, but her shliach. But if he made a shliach to give the get to his wife, we don't allow the woman to hire a shliach to receive the get. She has to receive it from his shliach by herself. That's one reason. Because we are making a gzeira, because this can lead to a big problem. Sometimes a man throws a get into a courtyard belonging to somebody else, right? A man throws a get into a courtyard belonging to somebody else. And later on, she acquires that courtyard. Hi, Sheldon.
Hi, good evening.
We just began, so we're going to get to a moment story here. We're in Samach Gimel Amid Beis and Gittin. If he throws a get into let's say he throws a get into somebody's front yard, and then the woman buys the property afterwards, that's not a good get, because when the get was thrown into the courtyard, it did not belong to her. She only purchased it after. So the same idea over here, Rav will say that if he made a shliach first to send a get, we are concerned that this might lead to chetzer abon la'abakan. So therefore, we don't allow her to follow up making a shliach to receive the get, because they look very similar. And if you think that's okay, by the shliach it's okay, people are going to think by chetzer abon la'abakan is also okay. My bainaya, what would be the difference between these two understanding of Rav, of bizoyin the baal and chetzer abon la'abakan? If she made a shliach first, so then you don't have the gezer of chetzer abal machmakan. If she made a shliach, he could also make a shliach. Rav had only a problem with if the husband made a shliach, then she cannot go make a shliach to receive the get. But if she made the shliach first, she made the first move, then he can make a shliach. The Gemara tells us a story. So again, you have a machlekes between Rav. Can a husband and wife simultaneously make shluchim to give a get and receive a get? Rav said no. Rav Chanina said yes. So the Gemara tells a story. Hahu Gavra, there was this person, the Shadele Gite Lidvesa, he sent the get to his wife. Also Shlicha, Ashkechet Yasva Kalashya. The Shliach, as he wants to deliver the get to the wife, the woman was middle of kneading a big dough. Amalah, so the Shliach said, hey, here's your get. Your husband sent you a get. Amalei, so she said to him, Lehev bidach. I want you to let it stay by you. In other words, you should now turn into my Shliach to receive the get. So now this one person was a shliach lahilacha and also a shliach lakabala for the woman. Amar Rav Nachman im Isa Rav Chanina even if you hold a Rav Chanina of the Bei Uvda, if you hold like Rav Chanina that both the husband and the wife could simultaneously make shluchim, then this is also a good get. Amalei Rava says it's not good. Even if you hold Rav Chanina, are we going to paskin like that? In other words, this is not exactly what Rav Chanina was talking about. Rav Chanina only allowed she make one man for a shliach, and he makes another man for a shliach. But here, it's the same person. And what's the problem? That the shliach cannot return to the messenger, to the one that sent him. In other words, we need a time that when a shliach does his shlichas to be able to go back and tell the one that sent him that I did what you told me. He needs to have like a space. He can't take another job as a shliach before he relays the information that the mission was accomplished. And therefore, if you're going to make that one person from a shliach lahilacha, and she says, okay, now you be my shliach la Kabbalah, even Rab Chanina would not allow that. And that's what Rava said. They asked the same question to Rab Ami, can that one person turn into a shliach from a shliach lahilacha to a shliach la Kabbalah? He answered back, this is not good, because the shliach cannot return to the original husband and say mission accomplished. He right away took on another job, and therefore it's no good. Rab Chiya bar Abba says, let me think about it. They asked him again, did you think it over? What's the psak? What do you hold? Omar, he said, Rabbi Bar says, I'm still thinking about it. These shlichim keep coming and asking me the question. I'm not sure. Just like you have doubts what the halacha is, I also have doubt. Maybe it's a good get, maybe it's not a good get. So therefore, I'm going to go strict. Have a davar sheba erva. You treat it as a davar sheba erva. The davar sheba erva, it's a davar sheba erva, so we assume that it's not a good get. But if the husband died, we don't say that she goes free. She can marry whoever she wants. Shchiletzes, we treat her as a married woman, and she has to get a chalitza. So the Gemara says like this: Have uvda. There was the exact same story. Again, a shliach lahilacha came to the woman. She said, "No, you keep the get, and you be my shliach lakabala." Rav Yitzchak required another get for this woman, the chalitza and a chalitza. So the Gemara says, Tarti, what did he need both? If you're requiring another get, so she really had another kosher get, so then she wouldn't need chalitza. And says the Gemara, get mechayim. If the husband stayed alive, so then he would require another get. If he happened to die and he did not give another get, so he required that this woman would have needed chalitza if the husband died and did not send another get. So the Gemara leaves it in limbo, because even if you hold like Rab Chanina, that she could send a shliach and he could send a shliach simultaneously, but one person cannot be a shliach lahilacha and a shliach la Kabbalah. Now the Gemara gives another story. There was this man, Dahavikarilah Nefasa. He was married to this woman called Nefasa. Okay, look at the way it's spelled with a nun. Azo Sadi, and he was a man going on a business trip, and he told witnesses, you write a get for my wife Nefasa. Azo Sadi, the witnesses went Ksiv Tefasa. They wrote in the get the wrong word. They wrote her as her name is Tefasa with a tuf. So now the question was, should they write another get? Well, he only made them a shliach one time, so maybe they only have one shot at goal. Amar Rav Yitzchak Bashmuel Bar Masa B'Shmei Rav. Rav said also Eidim Shluchasim. The Eidim did it one time, and therefore even if they wrote a pasal get, they cannot now go back and write a kosher get without the husband giving a new instructions. We're assuming that the husband went to Medina Siyam. Maskiv la Rabba said, why can't they write her another get? Was the first instruction write a piece of junk and give it to her? He meant write a kosher get. Ella Amar Rabba, what would be a case? Vadai, in a case where we would not allow the shluchim another chance to write another get. If they wrote a kosher get, and before they gave it to her, it got lost. If it got lost, but it was a kosher get, then we don't allow them to write another get. Also, Eidim Shluchasam. The Eidim did their shlichas, and they cannot write another get. Maskif law Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman asked the question, Mi ka'ama lahu kisvu anchu b'kisayu. Why can't they write another get? Was his instructions that they should write a get and put it in their pocket? He meant write a kosher get and make sure my wife gets it. So even if they wrote it a kosher get, now it got lost, they should have the right to write another get. Rav Nachman says, they have 100 times shot at goal. In other words, they can keep writing and giving as long as they don't get the job done. The original instructions from the husband remains in effect. Now the Gemara asks a question. Rava asked a question from Nachman. A man said, Kisu utnu l'shliach. A man said to the two Eidim, I want you to write a get, but you don't give it to my wife. I want you to give it to another shliach, another messenger who's going to bring it to my wife. So all your instructions is to write the get. Mahu, what's the din if it got lost? If it got lost, he gave it to the shliach, they gave it to the messenger lost it on the train. Can they rewrite another get? Saluki salukalahu. Are they finished with their job, and therefore they cannot write another get? Or maybe the reason why he didn't want them to deliver the get is because he was concerned that he doesn't want to put too much of a responsibility on those two people who are writing the get. So he assigned another person to deliver the get. But really, he means to say his instructions are clear that he wants this get to be written and somehow given to his wife. And even if you have to do it again, the husband would not mind. Amalei Ravina Rav Ashi. Ravina Rav Ashi said, okay, even if you want to say that Saluke Saluka Laha, that means they finished the job, they cannot write a get. What happens if he said Kisvu, give it to a shliach, and he added the word V'yoylech La and bring it to her? So by adding the words deliver it to her, perhaps that is more clearly that he wants this get delivered no matter what, even if you don't do it right the first time. Maho, can the shlichim rewrite another get? Teku, that remains unresolved. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Oimer. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel said in our Mishnah that not only if a woman says to a man, you're my shliach lekabala to accept the get, but af ha'oimeres tuli giti. If he tells a shliach, just take my get, so therefore that the word tul means she's basically making him a shliach to accept the get. In Rotza Lachzar, as soon as the guy gets the get, if the husband wants to retract, lo yachzer, it's too late. It's already in the hand of the shliach. But tuli gite is considered as if you're hiring somebody to accept the get. Tanarabban, the rabbis taught tuli v'soli yehelach biyachach kul nashe kabbalah hey. If she uses any of these languages, that is certainly hiring a person to become her shliach to accept a get. New Mishnah, bottom of Samach Gimel, Amud Beis. Isha she'amra hiskabali gita. A woman said to a man, you should accept my get. Now think about this. It's a very deep thing. She's not even going to receive the get. She's hiring somebody to receive the get. And as soon as that guy receives the get, what's the din? She's mugareshes. There's no backsies over here. So now the Mishnah says a chiddush. Now let's say she doesn't have the paper. And he doesn't have the paper. Let's say the paper got lost, but so then you need two sets of edim. Two people say that in front of us she instructed this guy to become a shliach. So two people edim watch her hire somebody to be her shliach lakabala. So now. And Shnayim Sha'imrim, and two other people say, B'fonenu kiba. In front of us, we saw that this shliach accepted a get on your behalf. Then she's divorced, even if she doesn't have the paper. Vikara, even if the shliach ripped up the get, so there is no get here. If two witnesses saw her hire somebody to receive a get, and two witnesses saw that this person received the get. So therefore, she's mugreshes, even though the paper has been disappeared. Now, the Mishnah says that the get was ripped up because what the Gemara is going to explain is the reason why they would rip up a get, and in some places they rip up a get today as well, is that during the time of Shmad, they would have killed you if you followed Jewish law and gave a get. So therefore, it was done in secret, and people would rip up a get after it was written. Now, the Mishnah said you need 2 sets of Eidim. Doesn't mean you need 4 people. Even if the 2 who are the first sets of Eidim saying of the appointment, and they're the same ones that saying that the appointed person received it, that's okay. You don't need separate Eidim. We go to Samach Daled. Or you can say, you could take 3 people. 2 maybe that saw the appointment of this person, and that one of those could also be an aid to be a part of another pair of Eidim that actually saw him receive the get. You don't need 4 people. They can mix it up a little bit in that respect. But bottom line is, you need 2 different testimonies: one that the person is a shliach lekabbalah, and one that he actually. And one pair of Eidim saying he actually received the get. Now the Gemara goes, Itma, we learned a teaching. Listen to this teaching. There are no witnesses here. A man gave a get to a person. Now, that's not his wife, right? He gave a get to an individual, maybe his best friend. Now, why did he give this get to his best friend? Did he mean to give it over as now the best friend should deliver it to his wife? So now there was an argument what the purpose of the giving over of the get was. And assuming subsequently he gave it to the wife. But Baal's husband said, I gave it to you to watch it. I didn't give you instructions to actually deliver the get. But the messenger said, the best friend said, he gave it to me that I should bring it over to her to get her divorce. Mineman, who is believed in that case? So Rav Huda said, Baal Neman, the husband is believed. He's believed. Rav Chizda Amar Shalish Neman, the best friend is believed. The Shalish is Neman. We'll call him the quasi friend. He's believed that the husband gave it to him not just to hold on for safekeeping, but actually to deliver it to his wife, and therefore she's mugareshes. Rav Huna says Baal Mammon, the husband's believed, because we're assuming the husband's still around, the woman is still around, they live in the same neighborhood. So Dim Isa the Legerishim Yahavin, if it's true that he gave it to this person, his best friend, that to actually deliver it to his wife, he should have given it directly to her. Why did he have to go through a third party? It must be he went to the third party because he didn't want to give the get. He wanted his friend to watch over the get, but not to actually deliver it. Rav Chizda says Sholish Namem. The shliach is believed. The third party is believed. Why? Because you trusted him to hold on to the get. Why? Who trusts a strange person to hold on to the get? It's strange. Why did he put it by that? It must be he trusted him that whatever the shlish is going to say, he's going to believe him. And if now that the shlish says that the husband gave it to me to deliver it to the wife, we will believe the shalish, the third party, that the one he deposited the get to. So now the Gemara asks the question against Rav Huna. Rav Huna said, we trust the husband. Masav Rav Abba. Rav Abba said, let's say Haidos Baldin Kameya Eidadami. If a man agrees that he owes money, that's like 100 witnesses. I mean, if you agree to an outstanding debt, you have to pay it. So that's as if there's 100 witnesses against you. V'shalish nema mishneim. But if you give money to a third party, and the third party claims that you were supposed to deliver it to your lender, so we believe, and you say, no, I gave it to you not to give to the lender, we will believe the shalish. Ketzad, what's the case? The guy who gave the money to the shalish said, I only gave it to you to watch the money, not to deliver it to my lender. And the shalish says, no, you gave it to me to give to the lender. Who's believed? Shalish Neman. The shalish is believed. So we see that shalish is Neman. So how does Rav Huna say that always the Baal is Neman versus the shlish? And over here we say the shlish is Neman versus the owner of the money, the one whose money it is. Answers the Gemara, always this case, money can always be forgiven. So therefore, when you're giving money to somebody, and he's not a bank, you're assuming that you're trusting that person, and whatever he's going to say about the instructions you gave him, we trust him, because you can always, money is given over to be Michael. In other words, that he could forgive, that you don't owe the money. That's how the Gemara understands it. V'hatanya, we learned in the Brisa v'chein legittin. Does the Brisa adds that the shlish is neman, and this would apply by gittin also. So how could Rav Huna said by gittin is different? Gittin is a dava isser. So the Gemara says that Brisa means gitei mamon. It means documents of money, because gittin is not just only referring to a divorce; it's referring to money. But we learned in another Brisa v'chein l'shtaris. It applies to documents. So now it says three things: shtaris, gittin, and this case. So one of them must be referring to gittin. And says the Gemara, were these brises written together? One brisa said it's a chen legittin, and a different brisa says chen l'shtaris. So, but they're both referring to documents of loan. So we will believe a shlish, even Rav Huna, who says we believe only the husband, not the shlish. When it comes to mumminess, when it comes to money, since it's a davar iser, and we believe him, but we believe the it's a davar iser. We will not believe when it comes to gittin. Now we learned in the Mishnah. In our Mishnah is going to resolve this case. A woman said to a person, "Accept, you be my shliach to accept my get." So you need two witnesses, because if we will not, so wait a second. The Mishnah said we need two witnesses to make truth that this guy, this shliach, actually received the get. Va'amai. Why do we need a pair of witnesses to say that the guy actually received the get? According to Rav Chizda, lehamni l'shlish. Let us believe the shliach, even if you didn't have witnesses seeing that he received the get. The fact that the shliach says, "I am," we know he's a shliach LaKabbalah. The fact that he says, "I received the get," should be enough that we believe it. Answers the Gemara, yes, we would believe him, but in this case, he doesn't even have the get, the shliach. As you read in the Mishnah, that it was ripped up. Do we say, did the get come out of his hand that we should believe him? The get didn't come out of his hand, so we don't believe him. So the Gemara said, right, because now, in a normal situation, we would believe the shlish because he has a migoy. Because if he's holding on to the get, he could have given it to her right now. But then we would believe the shlish. But if he's not holding on to the get, he's holding on to torn pieces of paper, so there's nothing to give her, so we will not believe the shlish. And that's the case of a Mishnah. So the Gemara says, Teinach Amra. I understand why you need two witnesses to say that that this guy was appointed as a shliach. Kiba lamali. But why do I need two witnesses that he accepted the get? In a normal situation, why would I need two witnesses? Forget that it was torn. Let's say it wasn't torn, but why do I need two witnesses that he accepted the get? And for the Gemara, Amaraba Hamani, our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Lezi, the Ama Edi Masira Karsi, that we need two people actually seeing that he received the get, because there's no other way that definitively makes a get effective unless the two witnesses observing the transfer of the get from the husband either to her or to the shliach. So therefore, we need two witnesses to observe that transfer to the shliach of the woman. So the Gemara says, Kara lameli, then why did he rip it, right? Why did he rip it? As we explained, that during times of Shmad, they didn't allow Jews to give Gittin to their wife, and if they caught you, they would have killed you. Therefore, after Gittin was written, they used to tear up a get. And as I explained, in some places, they actually rip up the get after it's given, even though it's not a Shasha Shmad anymore. Amma Rabba said, Umayde Rav Huna would agree that although Rav Huna says that the husband is believed, but not the shlish, the amra. But if she would pipe in and said, "I saw the amali shlish," that the shlish said, the person holding on to the get said to me, that your husband gave me this get to give to you as gittin, nehemne, we would believe the woman. So in other words, we will only believe the husband. But if the woman herself says that the shlish told me that he received it for gittin, we would believe the shlish. So the Gemara asks the question, Mika Midik, how's that possible? The Shlish Gufa, if the Shlish himself would talk, we wouldn't believe him. And if she repeats what he said, she's believed. If he says that thing himself, he's not believed. How could, if she repeats what he said, be believed? Ella, rather, what Rabba meant to say is, Rav Huna would agree. If the woman said, I saw my husband give that man the get that was the shame that he should give it to me, he's believed. Why? Because she could have said that she could have said that she gave it to him, that the husband gave it to her. The fact that she's not saying that, but she could have said a better lie. She said that the husband gave me the get. If he says that the husband gave him the get to give to me, we will believe him. We'll believe her as well. Now the Gemara says a new story. Baal Oma Legerishin. The husband said, I gave you a get. He says to the shlish, to this man, I gave you the get for gerushin. V'shalish omer, and the shlish says legerushin. I agree that it was a gerushin. And now there is no paper over here, right? So v'hi omeres, and she says nosan li v'avad. She gave it. He gave it to me. The shlish gave it to me, and I lost it. So now there is no get. There is no witnesses. It's everybody agrees that a get happened. The husband agrees. The shliach agrees that a get happened. She's just not holding on to any paper, and there are no witnesses. Omar Rav Yochanan, she's not mugareshes. Have a davar shebe'erva, ve'in davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim. There's no. We can't do anything about this case because it's a davar shebe'erva, and you need two witnesses. So the Gemara says, "Va'amai v'lehem ne'lashlish." Let's believe the shliach. Don't you always believe the shliach, like Rav Chizda said? Rav Chizda said you always believe the shliach. So let's believe the shliach. The Gemara answers the same question. Is there a piece of paper here? Nobody has a piece of paper. The Baal doesn't have it. The shlish doesn't have it. She says she lost it. So we can't believe the shlish over here. So therefore, she's not mugarashes. Let's believe the husband. If a husband says, I gave a get to my wife, he's believed. A man says, I gave a divorce to my wife. There's no paper here, no proof. He's Neman, he's believed. So why don't we believe the husband? Answers the Gemara, Mi kama gerashti. The husband's not saying, I gave a get to my wife. He's saying, I gave a get to a shliach to give to my wife. There is a different story. And there, in that story, we will not believe the husband. Velema, let us say, okay, we believe the husband that he hired a shliach. But let us say we have a chazaka, an assumption, shliach. Every shliach does what he's instructed to do. So let us assume that the shliach received the get from the husband, which that the husband agrees, the shliach agrees to that, and we can assume that he gave it to her, and we should trust. The Amma Rabbi Yitzchak said, this is a fabulous case which can solve a shidduch crisis. A man says to his shliach, say the kaddish li isha, just go and get me a wife. I don't care who it is. Make kedushin for me on behalf of a woman and mekadesh her. So then, but the problem was, umei shluchai, the messenger followed through, but did not tell him who he's engaged to. The problem is he'll be now asur on every woman in the world. Why? Because if he tries to marry another person, maybe that was his mother-in-law, maybe this person that he's going to marry is a sister to the one that the shliach did. He doesn't know. He's married. He's married to basically Suffolk married to every girl, every Jewish girl in the world. Because chazaka, we have an assumption, shliach haisha shekusa. If you instructed a shliach to mekadesh you a woman, we're going to assume that he did it. And if the shliach didn't tell you what happened and just died, you're now asur on every woman in the world. So why don't we say the chazaka should be over here, that the Baal says to the shliach, Baal said, I gave a get to the shliach. Shliach says, I received the get. Let's assume that the shliach gave it to her and say that it was lost. We go to Samach Gimel Beis. So Gemara says, Hanimi li lechumra. We only say that lechumra. Aval kula, to say that a woman is divorced by saying the chazaka shliach that we don't say. Now the Gemara says, okay, you don't believe the husband, you don't believe the shliach. Let's believe her that she received the get and she lost it. Every woman has that right to say that. Midrav Hamnuna, didn't Rav Hamnuna say that? The Amar Rav Hamnuna, Rav Shuna said, a woman says to her husband, Geirash Tani, you made me a divorce. Where's your paper? I don't have it. Now, she's believed. She doesn't have the guts and courage to say something, an outright lie in front of her husband. And therefore, if she says, Girash Tani, you gave me a get, even though she doesn't have proof for it, we will believe her. She's divorced. So the Gemara says, yes. Hani Mili, when do we believe her? If she's doing it on her own. She doesn't have the guts to say something like that unless it's true. When she has somebody backing her up, like the shliach, she would have the courage to say such a thing, even though it's a lie, and therefore we would not believe her. So again, if the husband said, I gave the shliach a get, and the shliach said, I received the get from the husband, and the shliach says, I gave it to the woman, and the woman says, I don't have the get because I lost it, she's now still considered married misafik, because we have no witnesses. Next Mishnah. Nara Hamurasa, a 12-year-old girl that's engaged. Now, only if she's engaged. Now, she herself, because she's over 12 years old, she's bas mitzvah, she can accept her get, and her father could accept her get on her behalf because she never left the jurisdiction of her father until she's actually married or until she turns 12 and a half. If she's only 12, she and her father can be makabel her get. Rabbi Yehuda says, we cannot have a situation where two people have the power to be makabel a get for one person. Rabbi Yehuda says only the father has the right to accept the get. She has no right to accept the get at all. Now the Mishnah says, what happens if a man is married to a 7-year-old, right? Or a 6-year-old girl, he can never give her a get. Because if a woman can never hold on to her get, we cannot give her a get. If she's so young, you give her a get and she can't watch it and she loses it, so she's considered to be too imbecile to be given a get. And the Torah tells us that when you divorce your woman, you have to make sure that she understands she can never come back. And a katana, if she's not mature enough, she's going to come back. So you can never give a get to a girl that's like 5 years old. So the Gemara just asked two more things. But my kami palgi, what's the argument between Bayanar and Marasa? Why the Rabbi Yehuda says the Rabbanan Savre Rabbanan hold both can be makabel get. Yadi Serta Zachala Rahmana. The Torah gave her an extra hand, an extra power. Benureha, she's now a nara. She's over the bas mitzvah. She can accept her own get along with her father. Rabbi Yehuda Sava b'mkaim avia yadilei laklumo. In the place of her father, if she has a father able to accept a get, she cannot accept a get on her behalf. Let's just do one more line here. If she cannot watch again, if she's let's say she's 8 years old and she knows how to keep a get in safekeeping, you can divorce her. She cannot hold on to a get, she's not mugareshes. How do you know that she has the maturity and the brains enough to watch her get? She can, if she's a girl that can hold on to a get and something else at the same time. What does that mean? My kama, what do you mean that? Rabbi Yechon explain, Haki kama, if the girl is mature enough, if she loses her get and she'll replace it, let's say with a doll, and she says, this is my get, then she's old enough to receive a get. So we're not talking about a girl that could hold on to a get. We're talking about a girl that if you give her a get and she loses it, but she knows she has to hold on to a get, she'll pick up an object and say, oh, this is my get. That girl is enough, mature enough to be able to receive a get. According to Rabbi Huda that woman is a stamen imbecile. She cannot be trusted. She's picking up a doll and saying, this is my get. And here we'll stop. If she's mature enough to understand that between a get and something that's not her get, that's called mature enough to not to be called a shaita or a katana. She's mature enough to receive a get. So if you tell her, she sees the document and says this is a get and this is not a get, then she's old enough to receive a get. Although of course she's under bas mitzvah, she could be 6, 7 years old. She can receive a get. But if she's 2 years old, obviously she's someone that cannot receive a get, and a husband cannot divorce such a wife. Okay, Be'ez Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow with Daf Samach Hey.